Hi, my name is Emily Kazarski, and this is my final project for Clinical Skills 1 Nutrition 6518. Overview of my client. She is a female, 35 years old, and Caucasian. Brief introduction about her. She is a birth and postpartum doula with a hectic schedule. She typically has about 4 to 5 births in a given month, and anywhere between 1 and 4 postpartum clients. She is exhausted and stressed out most of the time due to her job and her familial responsibilities, as she has 2 children. Her unpredictable schedule causes her to sometimes skip meals and consume fast food and processed food, resulting in GI distress, including bloating, constipation, and stomach cramping. I will mention that when she has a typical schedule, so when she's home, not at a birth, she eats incredibly nutritiously. She actually does a CSA or farm share throughout the entire year, and she loves to cook and make delicious meals for her family. Her family history: her father has type 2 diabetes, and her maternal grandfather has dementia. Desired outcomes for the client is to learn how to eat more nutritiously during the hectic scheduled days, because like I said, she pretty much has that mastered on the days that she has a predictable schedule. Antecedents: stress management issues since youth. She's always had anxiety and always been pretty stressed about everything. Triggers are her stressful job and familial responsibilities, as I mentioned. Mediators: caffeine, processed food, fast food, and skipping meals all contribute to her symptoms. She's 5'4", 120 pounds, and that's actually the ideal body weight for her height, and her BMI is 20.6. Estimated needs came out to 1870. They were 1360 as her BMR, and she has a lightly active lifestyle. So multiply that by 1.375, and you get 1870. Protein intake is 54 grams, and fluid intake is 60 ounces. Her diet. So as I mentioned, her diet is drastically different on days when she's home and has a predictable schedule versus days when she's at a birth. So let's talk about her predictable schedule diet. It's diverse in antioxidant and phytonutrient foods, so fruits and vegetables. She mostly eats organic, which is awesome. She eats breakfast, which usually consists of a half a cup of oatmeal. She likes steel-cut oats, half a cup of berries, walnuts, and chia seeds. She eats a really healthy lunch of dark leafy green salad. She loves baby kale and baby spinach, cooked quinoa, avocado, and feta cheese. For dinner, she sometimes eats a fatty fish such as salmon with roasted vegetables, a sweet potato, or farro or brown rice. Sometimes she eats grilled chicken and veggies, and sometimes she just has vegetables and a grain or a sweet potato and no animal protein. Her snacks consist of various fruits. Her favorite is apples right now. We live in New England, so prime apple season. Nuts, crackers, full-fat yogurt with honey. She consumes roughly 90% of daily protein recommendation, 92% of daily fat intake, 133% of daily carbohydrate intake. So in total, she consumes 98% of her daily energy intake. And her diet is high in fiber, roughly 36 grams, and rich in omegas. Unpredictable schedule diet. So these are the days when she is at a birth for anywhere between 12 and 36 hours. It's low in diverse antioxidant and phytonutrient foods. So low in fruits and vegetables, low in protein and fiber, and high in processed sugar and refined grains. So she mentioned to me that she often skips meals, and when she realizes how hungry she is and there's a short break in the birth, she'll go to the cafeteria or the vending machine and grab some sort of unhealthy snack, such as a sugary muffin, a bagel, a power bar that's loaded with sugar. She drinks a lot of coffee on these days, so 24 plus ounces. If she does have dinner, she usually stops on the way home at McDonald's and gets a grilled chicken sandwich or chicken nuggets. So on these days, she consumes 55% of her daily recommended protein, 73% of her daily recommended fat, and 77% of her daily recommended carbohydrates. So in total, she consumes 67% of her daily energy intake. On all days, she consumes 60 to 80 ounces of purified water. She always carries a water bottle, a reusable water bottle with her, so I commended her for that because I think that's excellent. So our physical assessment and symptoms burden. So the only real things I noticed on the exam were that she had cracked corners on the sides of her mouth, which could indicate vitamin B deficiencies, and dark circles under her eyes, which could be from allergies or from pure exhaustion. Symptoms burden. large intestine symptoms such as constipation and stomach cramping, and small intestine symptoms such as abdominal bloating. So she experiences all of these after she eats unhealthy, and she said this usually lasts for up to a week afterwards that she usually feels these symptoms. She's currently taking vitamin D, 2,000 IUs. Her physical activity is lightly active. She plays with her kids. She has an 18-month-old and a 4-year-old. She takes walks when she has time, and she loves yoga, but she really only does it maybe once a month these days because she's just too busy, she said. Her lifestyle and stress level, so as I mentioned, she's a doula. She's married with 2 girls, 4 and almost 2. She's very high stress because of her schedule and caring for her children. She also told me that her husband travels 3 out of 4 weeks in each month. And with her unpredictable schedule and constantly being on call, she had to hire a nanny because her family does not live nearby. So the nanny is kind of on call when she's on call, and that creates a lot of stress for her because her kids aren't super familiar with this person, and she's always worried about them. She currently has no consistent stress management techniques. So as I mentioned, she loves yoga, but she doesn't do it regularly. So we talked about looking into doing something to manage her stress levels. Behavior. She's tried to be more organized with food preparation in the past, but has not had much luck. She said when she has time to prepare food, it's for her girls, and she doesn't think about herself. She would like to try to balance her macronutrient intake and add more fruits and vegetables to her diet during these hectic times by having snacks and meals ready to take with her. So what impressed me was she pretty much knew all of the answers to her problems and knew what needed to be done to help her improve her diet on these days. It's just about executing it. So I was really impressed by that. Her beliefs, she has a fair amount of holistic knowledge due to her job. She has a lot of trainings where she learns a lot about different integrative practitioners. So I thought it was really awesome that she's so knowledgeable. And she currently sees a chiropractor monthly. She's on her feet during the births and really supporting the mom. So her back is often really tense. So she does go to a chiropractor, and she said it's been very helpful. So readiness, overall readiness, she rated as a 9 out of 10 because she really wants to make an improvement. As far as confidence goes, she rated herself as a 7 out of 10 because she just doesn't know how sustainable it'll be because she's so busy. And motivation is an 8 out of 10. As I said, she's really wants to make a change, but she said she's just so exhausted and so busy that she said it's not a 10 out of 10, it's an 8 out of 10. Core imbalances, energy metabolism, so the quality of her macronutrients because of the fast food that she eats on hectic work days. And the macronutrient distribution is pretty far off from the recommended amount on her crazy work schedule days. Next is cellular integrity imbalances, so low antioxidants and phytonutrients on hectic days. She rarely eats fruits and vegetables on these days. Maybe an apple if she has time to pack it, but she said most of the time she eats nothing. Digestion, as I mentioned, small intestine, bloating symptoms, and large intestine, abdominal cramping, and constipation. So the nutritional status is at risk, and diagnosis is as follows. So the first main nutritional problem is inadequate energy intake, 67%. And this is related to skipping meals on hectic work days, as evidenced by her 3-day food log, her exhaustion, and her stress levels. Main nutritional problem number 2 is inadequate fiber intake, which is just 35% on the hectic days, related to consumption of processed food and fast food, minimal consumption of whole foods, and skipping meals. And this is as evidenced by constipation and GI distress, including bloating and cramping. And main nutritional problem number 3 is inadequate micronutrient intake on the hectic days. So these levels are pretty far off from where they should be. 61% of B1, 57% B2, 26% of B5, 35% of B6, only 17% of B12, only 25% of folate, only 10% of vitamin A, 14% of vitamin C, 5% of vitamin D, and then 22% of calcium, 24% of iron, 13% of potassium, and 39% of magnesium. And this is related to minimal consumption of whole foods, as evidenced by physical assessment, which is her cracked corners on her mouth, and 3-day diet log, exhaustion, anxiety, and stress. So intervention. Overall expected outcomes are to balance her macronutrient breakdown, achieve optimal micronutrient levels, support gastric digestion, improve ability to prepare food, improve sleep hygiene, and regulate stress levels. Her short-term goals are to reduce processed food consumption, consume more fruits and vegetables on hectic days, and add stress management techniques into each week. So short-term interventions. She's going to cut up fruits and vegetables that she has in the refrigerator. She's going to schedule a yoga class for the week, and she's going to add 10 minutes of sleep to tonight. We talked about when she does have a predictable schedule, adding more sleep so she can kind of maximize her sleep when she's not at a birth. Dietary recommendations are to incorporate more fiber into the hectic day schedules. Focus on dark leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables including cauliflower, broccoli, kale, and fruits with high fiber content such as apples and berries. I want her to incorporate more protein by planning ahead, packing nuts and seeds, making salads ahead of time with grilled chicken, hard-boiled eggs, or salmon on top. And I want her to reduce processed food consumption and consumption of refined carbohydrates. Supplement recommendations. I want her to begin taking a B complex due to the low levels. I want her to take it with breakfast. I want her to also begin taking a probiotic to promote gut health, which I want her to take before bed. I want her to begin taking natural calm powder to help with sleep and digestion. This also contains magnesium, vitamin D, calcium, vitamin C, and potassium. Take this before bed. And I want her to continue taking her vitamin D supplement with dinner. Integrative recommendations. I want her to really start to do yoga more regularly. So not once a month, but once or twice a week. And I want her to look into meditation apps and trying to do 5 to 10 minutes of meditation a day to try to help with the stress and anxiety. Other recommendations I have are to schedule a primary care appointment for a CBC and CMP blood work to see where her levels lie. And as far as follow-up goes, I'd like to see her every 2 weeks for the next 2 visits and then monthly if improvements have been made.